Today, we're going to show you how to quickly edit a Google Sheets spreadsheet using the API. For example, I've got a script that's generating some data. I just want to throw that data in a Google Sheets spreadsheet. And that's all I want to do, and I want to do it quickly. However, when we go to the documentation, the Google Sheets API documentation, it is somewhat complex. There's an overview. Getting started has some links to some other places. I just want an API key and I just want to make a call to throw some data in. I go to quick starts, I go here, and it's talking about OAuth consent, credentials, and it's got these bunch of these complex methods. Like, what is going on? Well, what's going on is that we're talking about OAuth. Google Documentations is focusing on OAuth. So that means three parties. So you've got the user, and then you've got your app, and then you've got Google. Google. And basically, there's three parties that OAuth is related to. But what we want to do is we want to not have the user, right? We just want the app talking directly to Google. So how do we do that? Well, for that, we need to use an API key using technology JWT, which stands for JSON Web Token, right? It's a standard way to securely transmit information between two parties. So let's go ahead and use that approach, right? So that means, this Google documentation is, part of it is useful, but not so much this part. All right, let's get started. Let's get our API key. So we go to our Google Cloud Console. We go to Google Cloud Console. We got some projects, so you can select one here, or you can create a new one. So for this example, I'm going to create a new one. I'm going to say Google Sheets demo. Just create a new project. So we got a project and we want to select it. Just because you created it doesn't mean it got selected. So we have to go here and we actually have to select it. Now we're going to go to APIs and services. And we want to enable the Google Sheets API. So we search for it, Google Sheets API. Go ahead and create this. We click on it, find it, click on it, enable. Okay. So we've enabled this eventually. Come on, Google. And now, well, we can double check, we can click on it, and we see that it's enabled down here, right? So now we go to credentials, and how we're gonna approach this is we're gonna create a dedicated service account, and that service account is gonna have an API key, so we can associate the service account, share a specific Google Sheet with that service account. So let's go ahead and just don't worry about all this junk up here. Let's go ahead and manage service account, create a new one. Create service account, ID, let's call it demo. Don't need to worry about all this other stuff. Click done. Demo API. Needs to be 6 characters. Service account created. Okay, looks like they got a database consistency problem here at Google. You'd think. Service account created, but I don't see it up here. Let's reload this page. There we go. Okay, and then in this service account, we want to create a key. We go to keys, we say add key, create a new key, JSON, and then create, and then it gets download to our computer. Okay, so we have a key. Next thing we want to do is we want to share our Google spreadsheet with this service account. So perhaps you have a Google spreadsheet you're talking about. you want to modify, or you want to create a new one. So let's go ahead and create a new one, blank spreadsheet. And I'm going to mess with it a little bit. I'm going to say first column is going to be date. Next one's going to be value. Just going to make this pretty. And well, let me show you how to share. Let's go ahead and share that. Okay, API demo. And we want to share with our service account, share. So, okay, it's shared. If we go back here, we can see that we shared this with our service account. So this service account has the editor permissions, so we should be able to edit. All right, let's populate some data here. I want this to be a date. So, 24, 12, 16. 10 o'clock. Value 10. And just because I'm fiddly about this stuff, I'm going to go ahead and format it. Format, number, custom date and time. Part of the reason why I'm going to format this is so that when I put this date format in the code, it's going to match the format up here, just to keep things straightforward. All right, so we're going to use this format over here. Okay. All right, so we got the key, we got this shared. Next thing is to write some code. So for this example, we're going to be using the Go programming language to write some code. So let's go ahead and create a project and get started. Let's jump into our terminal. Let's make a new directory, make dir Google Sheets demo. Okay, then we go go mod init Google Sheets. I'm going to call it API. All right, we've got our go mod file, and then we're gonna get a couple dependencies that we need. So go get golang.org xOA2, and we're gonna pin this to a version. Just the reason I'm doing this is in case you're watching this a long time from now, you can reference the version that worked in this demo. Golang, oh, whoa, misspelled it. Golang.org. Yep, okay. Next one is go get Google Golang.org API to 11.0. Okay, so now I'm gonna show this in my IDE. I'm gonna pull up this project in my IDE for the next step. Okay, so we've got our project here. So one thing we want to do is we want to pull in the file that we downloaded, the JSON file, and we want to pull this in here. So let's go ahead, actually go back to our terminal and do that. So we want to copy downloads. That file was called synthetic something. Okay, and we want to copy it here, credentials, call it credentials.json. Should be here, and we can view how it looks. So we got the private key. We see the email of our service account here and some other information. So now let's go ahead and try to, first we're just going to connect via Google Sheets API. We're going to do a main.go file. Here, package.main. And then we actually want the spreadsheet ID. So let's go back to our spreadsheet. So the spreadsheet ID is this ID up here. So up here we got google.com spreadsheet D, and this string up here is the spreadsheet ID. So we're gonna grab that because that is important. Func main, let's make a context here. Thank you for filling in this information. All right, so so we need to read in the file. Okay, so service account key os read file, and we named it credentials.json. And then this is fine. Client secret file, sure, that's explainable. Okay, so we read in the file, and then we're gonna use this method Google dot JWT config from JSON, right? So instead of OAuth, we're using JWT here, and we're passing in service account key. Let's see. ID is not automatically grabbing those because they haven't been downloaded yet. So let's go ahead and add them here. So we're using Google. Go along off to Google, yes. And then for sheets, we're using Golang API sheets. Yes, that looks fine. Something you can do later, but we can actually. I wonder if we can refresh this so that we don't have all these squiggly lines. So let me try something. Let's go here and go mod tidy. Let's see if that works. Okay, took a little while. Does this help us? Squigglies went away. These are still red. Anyway, sometimes you gotta mess around with the ID, but let's move forward. Okay, there we go. Reindex refreshed. Okay, I wanted to point out this scope, right? So you can have different access scopes. And in this case, we're doing edit, create, delete scope. You could limit it to read only if you just wanted to read from the spreadsheet. And there's a few other scopes as well. Okay, let's go ahead and error handling. Okay, and then we create our client, config.client. Yep, that's the method. Where is it coming from? jwt.go. That's good. We have our client. So now we create a new service from the Sheets API, new service using that client. Why is it squiggly? Okay, because it's wrong. It should be option dot with HTTP client. There we go. And this option comes from this up here. So it's an option to the service. And error handling, that looks retrieve sheet file, sounds good. All right, so we're gonna read yes, A2 and B2 from this spreadsheet. So we're gonna say read range, yep. And we're gonna use, yes, spreadsheet.values get spreadsheet ID read range do actually makes the call. We have response. Response is specific to this do type, so it's a value range response. So not all responses are the same. Error handling. There we go. And then we just wanna, we just wanna loop through it and and print it. Okay, you think this will work? So I'll run this from the command line. So I'll just go run main.go. And there we go. We got our dates are messed up here. What is going on? Okay, something's not right. Let me, because I strictly recall I reformatted this. Format, number, custom, date and time. Yes, this looks fine. Apply. Apply. Let's go back and rerun this. All right, did I add an extra print here somewhere? Print, row 0, row 1, A2, B2, spreadsheet. I mean, clearly we're getting partial data. We're getting the second part right. Why are we getting some extra junk in here in this row 0 value? Let me reload this spreadsheet. Not letting me reload. Try something. New row. Oh, 12, 17. Well, whatever. 12, 15. See, I don't understand why it's not formatting it correctly. The whole row should be formatted. I format. Year, month, day, hour, minute, second. Apply. The values are correct. Why is it getting me strange stuff? All right. Okay, so I figured out what the issue was. The issue is I'm using log here, and that just adds an extra date here, right? So if I run it, the log prepends, so it's a little confusing. So I'm just going to use change this to FMT. That just prints it directly to standard out, and then we can run this. And there we go. We got A2 is a date and B2 is a number. And just to make sure, that's what we have here. So now let's go ahead and modify. So, you know, if I'm like gathering data, maybe it's a cron job or something, I just basically want to just put data at the bottom, or maybe I want to kind of insert data on the top. So we're going to show an example where we're actually going to insert another row and put some new data there. All right, so let's go ahead and jump into it. I think this all code up here is good. So we're going to continue down here. We're going to go through the values. And what we want to do is we're just going to add 1 to the value here. So let's go ahead and say we're going to save the values that we want to write. We're going to save values that we want to write. Interface is fine. 0, 0. I think that's fine. We're going to loop here. Let's add a check. Let's add a check here for 0 just in case. Yeah. Let's add a check for 0 if no data found. It's a corner case. We'll just leave this as is. And then we're going to move this loop down here. Basically, we're not going to do anything if no data found. Oh, no, we can put different coding here, but for right now, we're not going to do anything. Okay, so we're going to loop over each values that we found, these 2 values. And then we want to add 1 to this value. Well, so by default comes in as a string. This is correct. And then we want to convert the string into a number. So we're going to add it here. String convert a to I, and we're going to convert this to a number. Okay, it returns an error. We can double check and see int error. So error, and then we do the error check here. This looks good. So now row 1 is a number. So values to write 0, 1, row plus 1, and then the other one is just going to be a timestamp. Values to write 0. See, it's smart enough to know that I already tried this. It's giving me this. Okay, so this format is not quite what we want. We want this format, date time. And these are the values we're going to write. Okay, so we figured out what we're going to write. So let's actually write this. But before we write it, we need to insert a row. It's spreadsheets batch update. And we got the spreadsheet ID, and then we need to build our request. It's going to be insert dimension. Insert dimension, it's already helping me. Range. So we're using a 0 as the sheet ID here. And that's the default sheet ID. But if you've got multiple sheets in your spreadsheet, then you will need to figure out what the sheet ID. It's probably another API call. And then dimension rows. Yep, start index 1, 2. Why do I have so many squiggles? Batch update, request, sheets request. What am I missing? Oh, there we go. This is great, it's not needed, it's implied. So we're calling this. We can send a bunch of requests here, but one request that we're going to send is a insert a row at this range, a row between index 1 and 2. So we're going to insert the row, and now we're going to insert the values. And yeah, spreadsheet values, update spreadsheet ID, read range, same range, A2, B2. This looks good. And then the values we're going to put actually, yes, are the values to write. And then we're going to do, this is an important piece of information. So we are required to put in this values input option here. And I think the only two real values are either raw or user entered. And we're actually going to do user entered here. You can experiment with them. I feel like user entered is a safe way to go. We are missing some error checking here. Let's add some error checking here. If error, come on, Copilot. No. Yep, looks good. Unable to update values. All right, this is looking good. So basically what should happen is we should insert a new row. In that row, we need the timestamp, and we're just going to add one from the previous row that was there. Let's go ahead and run this. Okay, go back to our spreadsheet. And there we go. We got a new value. So let's run it a couple more times just for fun. Go back here, and there we go. So, you know, a good and quick way to basically just gather some arbitrary values that you want to keep track of. Hope you found this useful.